go. Good afternoon. This is the monthly meeting of the Dayton Stormwater Committee, Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. It is 1:12 p.m. We're in the Old Town Hall upper level meeting room, 1111 Somerset Avenue in Dayton. This is a public meeting, video and audio recorded for posting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Attendance, Mrs. Caledonia.
Here.
Mr. Ferry.
Yeah.
Mr. Woods.
Here.
Chairman Goulart's here. Mr. Phillips emailed me and he was not feeling well. I haven't heard from Mr. Aguirre, so he may come up. Also present is Heather O'Cara and Mrs. Laureen Beausoleil. I need a motion to take agenda item 5B, Clearway Solar, Arujo Farms, out of order.
So move.
You have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Again.
Nancy Goulart's and I. Lou, can you hear us?
I can, Nancy, can you hear me?
Yes. Tom, we still don't know if anyone's going to attend from Grasshopper, right? They haven't zoomed in?
No.
Okay. On the phone is Louis Cruz, who will give us an update on the Clearway project that's behind Arujo Farms. Go ahead, Lou.
Yes, ma'am. So we have achieved mechanical completion. We're in the testing phase now for pre-commissioning, getting ready to go into full commissioning testing. The infiltration trench has been installed now, so that's complete, as I understand. We have that set off as well. The fence is in place. I guess you already know that Clearway decided to sell the project, so there's going to be a new owner coming in soon, and it'll be finished, turned over to them. So just so you know.
You know the name, sir?
Not off the top of my head. Sorry, I did.
Yeah,
I don't have a notebook with me.
Thank you.
Lou, I got an email. I've gotten several emails, and quite frankly, when you put them all together, they don't make any sense.
Okay.
One was they were only buying, a particular company was only going to buy the property that is owned by the trust. Because the property up there, we consider it to be two solar farms because there are two owners. So one solar farm is located on property owned by a trust, and the other solar farm is located on property owned by Darlene and Ken Arujo. So the first email said they were buying the solar farm that belongs to the trust. Then I got another email this week, I think it was from a different party, who said they were buying the solar farm. So I don't know if one company's buying everything or if two companies are going to buy a chunk each. So I'll look at the email. I'll forward it out to the committee members. I'll write back and try to get clarification. Prior to that,
I'll drive down trying to get you an answer on that, Nancy. I'm not aware of multiple buyers. I was only aware that there was one interested party, so I'll follow up.
Yeah, when I forward, I'll try to find both emails. When I forward them to the committee, I will forward them to you also. But backing up even further, there was communication regarding the need for a pilot agreement prior to anything being sold. And it was not clear, again, what they were talking about, because we don't have an inventory on either property. And just like everything else, there will be a pilot agreement on the trust located solar farm and a pilot agreement located on the Arujo owned solar farm. Together, the two pilots would equal what one entire pilot agreement would be tax-wise, if in fact it was one property. Well, since then, when I told them we can't do anything with a pilot agreement because I need an inventory for each property listing everything. You name it, all the panels, the wires, the cables, everything that would be considered personal property.
Okay.
Because I also sit on the Board of Assessors. So that's another hat, but that's what we would have to do. So right now, the town is willing to talk about pilot agreements, two of them, regardless of who owns it, but somebody's got to come up with a complete inventory for each site. So I told them, look, this isn't going to hold anything up. When this project is completed, when these two projects are completed, and if the building commissioner says everything is set to go and they can go live, you don't need a pilot agreement to go live. A pilot agreement can be brought in at any time. And we've had solar farms up and running in town who have applied for a pilot agreement, if you will, after the fact. We have one in place. Most pilot agreements are 20-year agreements. We actually have one that's 15 years because the particular farm was up and running. And then they said, can we get a pilot agreement so that they would know for the next 15 years what their taxes would be? So we can do that. So nothing will be held up. We just need to know how many buyers we're dealing with, and do they understand in the eyes of the town, this is two properties. And the reason we do that is if one owner, for some reason, doesn't pay their taxes, you can't go after the whole bunch of them, including the other one, because the tax liability is only on one property, the one who doesn't pay. So whenever there's multiple owners of properties that are clearly distinguished with deeds, it's two. So that's the reason that's happening. But like I say, I will look for those emails when I go home, and I'll copy the committee and I'll copy you so you'll know what I'm referring to, and then maybe you can check that out, okay?
Sounds good. And I'll drive down trying to get some more information for you too.
Okay. Do you know offhand, I think I've been dealing with, I don't want to say marketers, but financial advisors or investment advisors,
Right.
I don't even believe they're attorneys, which somewhere along the way, there's going to be attorneys involved, I would think. But anyhow.
Yeah. We're dealing with bankers right now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They're not attorneys.
Okay. So, all right. So that's where we are on this side of I'll call it the proposed sales, of these
Two parts.
farms. Yeah. And the other thing too is, even if we did have pilots in place, the language in the pilot would carry on to any successor owners. So, we don't have to go through that again. So.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. All of our pilots have basically the same language. And all we usually say is fill in the blanks, which is basically the information about who the owner is going to be. And then the attachments include the inventory, the schedule of tax payments, and usually a plot plan, a small one showing the location of the farm is, where the solar farm is. So does anybody have any questions for Lou or comments?
Did you want to do a site visit at this stage? See that completed?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up under Weston and Sampson, but we can do it now. So Lou.
Do you want to vote to take for?
Wait a minute, I gotta find it.
For
Yeah.
C?
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's nothing else here I wanted to bring up while I have Lou on the phone. Yeah, I need a motion to take agenda item 4C out of order. This is Weston and Sampson Engineering Projects, Brook Street Solar and Clearway Arujo. And after we talk about Clearway Arujo, we're going to leave this open so that when we get to the Brook Street one, it will still be open and I can tell you what's happening there with Weston and Sampson. So do we have a motion to take agenda item 4C out of order?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Woods, second by Mr. Ferry. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
So,
Sorry, my assistant just texted me. Aye.
and it's unanimous. So Lou, what's happening on the town side? We have, we're in the process of contracting with Weston and Sampson, a large engineering firm who's been selected as the company to provide engineering services to all the boards, committees, commissions who need them for the next year. I had an email from Jim Reardon at Weston and Sampson asking me for some kind of an outline on what we want done. So what I said to him is what we need done at the location behind Arujo's, the locations is, number one, take a look where Todd Pilling left off, because I think up to that point, we probably have the records and all the information we need. Once he gets familiar with where Todd left off, look at whatever records we have available to bring us up to the present. And if he has questions, we'll work them out. If I need you, I'll be in touch with you if we need information that you would have that we might not have. He's going to be really looking to make sure everything that's there is in compliance with stormwater management. Because Jim Aguirre will not allow a project to go live if there are any issues with stormwater, which we all know in the case of Brook Street. So anyhow, Weston and Sampson will assign an engineer to do the review of the paperwork, and there will also be a site visit made. If you're available, it would be good if you were there, because you're the most likely person to answer questions from the company. And we would let you know well in advance of when the site visit will be.
Okay.
I know that some of the other boards and commissions are interested in visiting the site, basically out of curiosity, because they have never been up there and would like to see what it looks like. They'd like to see one that's already and operating properly.
Sure.
So you don't have to be present for that, and as far as I know, it will not be when our engineer is there. It'll be something we'll schedule later on. But in any case, when I get more information from Jim Reardon at Weston and Sampson and find out who he's going to assign to this review, I know he's working on Brook Street, and I know there's at least one other person at Weston and Sampson working on Brook Street. When they came to make their proposal the night that the decision was made to hire this firm, there was another gentleman present. So it could be that the other gentleman will be working with Jim on Clearway. But until we know that, I just want you to be aware that sometime in the future, there will be a site visit. But basically, that's what the Stormwater Committee has requested. And that is the final check to make sure everything is the way it should be as far as stormwater management and standards go. We'll be in touch with Clearway because this has to be paid for by the developer through a 53G account. And when we know what the cost will be from Weston and Sampson, we'll be able to get in touch with Clearway and let them know what it is exactly that we need done and what the cost is, so forth and so on. So This is just a kind of a heads up that this will be coming down the pike. Do you have any questions, Lou?
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions about what Weston and Sampson's gonna do? And I copied Tom and Lisa on the email to Jim Reardon. So when you look at that, if you think of anything else, I need to know it. Other than routine things you might ask during a site visit, but if you see anything there that might be important enough that would affect the work schedule he's creating, then I need to know about it, okay? Other than that, we'll just wait for that to come back, okay? Do you have anything else, Lou?
I don't, Nancy, thank you.
Okay, all right, so I'll be in touch with you.
Okay.
The emails and any more information about the site visit and the engineering. And other than that, I guess we're good for today.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Everybody have a good day and have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, Lou. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye now.
So while we have the rest of 4C open, could I get a motion to take 5A out of order, Brook Street Solar?
I'll make a motion to take 5A Brook Street Solar out of order.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Woods?
Aye.
Vote unanimous. Okay, Brook Street Solar. Where we are with this is the contract was signed with Weston and Sampson. I had a conversation with Jim Reardon, who was the lead for us, I guess for any project in the town. All of the records that we had in a big file box were shipped to Weston and Sampson in Reading. So they're working on it. I haven't had any questions coming back. That's going to entail a site visit also after they figure out. I think they're going to be going back almost to the beginning and looking at the plan that was approved by the planning board. That's the place to start. Then follow the history up to no progress. Up to the point of the third-party review, which said, we think the fabric's clogged. So the contract was issued. Ahmed Hafez was copied and reminded they're supposed to have their own equipment there when it comes time to dig up the basins. I haven't heard anything back from Ahmed since Mike Mellon sent the email saying the money came in, the go-ahead was given to Weston and Sampson. And so we're just waiting to find out now what the next step is from Weston and Sampson. Ahmed had asked me a couple of times if we could get this thing speeded up, but the delay, if anything, was waiting for the money to come in because it has to be on deposit. He thought that because there was $1,500 left from the third-party review, it could be applied. But Mike explained to him, each 53G account, if there's money left in it, has to be refunded to the party that deposited it. And that money that was left over from a request by the planning board for the third-party review. So the $1,500 can't be used to pay for our work on Brook Street. That's why they had to send, it was over $11,000 for this work by Weston and Sampson. So I guess if the planning board has nothing they need done on Brook Street, they'll refund the money. But so part of it is, I think they didn't, the money they said they took off the $1,500 and they were told you can't do that under the laws of Massachusetts. If it's not being spent by the original board or committee, it has to go back. So that kind of delayed things a little more. So That's where we are with Brook Street. I don't know. I don't know where Mr. Hafez is today. Was he on the mail list, the email list for this? So anyhow, does anybody on the committee have anything, questions or anything about Brook Street, where we are or whatever? Okay, Mrs. Beausoleil, did you wish to speak? You came to see the calendar. There you go. Okay,
Well, thanks for coming.
You're not gonna decorate the gate?
Big wreath.
Nice wreath on it. I don't know about this Christmas stuff here. Throw me for a loop. To me, it's still fall, summer.
Yeah, at least a wreath or a ball or something.
so Lisa, just don't go down Brook and Pine Street and you'll think it's still October. Okay, so you have we don't have a progress report or anything from Mr. Hafez. You know the status of the work that we've hired Weston and Sampson to do. When I find out the information on the cost for Weston and Sampson to review and do a site visit on Clearway, I'll send that out to you. It'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. I hope to have it long before then, just so you know we're moving ahead and we're making progress. But I would say, Mr. Ferry and Mrs. Caledonia, don't be surprised if you get contacted by Jim Reardon about something. I'm going to send an email to Todd Pilling too, because they may want to talk to him. But I feel more comfortable with the progress at Clearway than Brook Street. So there's nothing else on Brook Street or on the excuse me.
Ahmed did email us. He's been waiting to be let into the Zoom one. Not sure. See, I have a new email set up on my iPad.
Send him Tom's phone number, please, 774. Or are you going to do it, Tom?
I might have his.
You know how to let him in?
Not in our waiting room, so there's some type of snafu going on here.
What's your number?
I have his number.
Oh,
All right,
you got it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Good afternoon. You're on speakerphone in the stormwater meeting. I guess the Zoom is not working well. You can hear me fine?
Yes, I do. Can everyone hear me fine?
Ahmed, this is Nancy. So present today is Lisa Caledonia, Tom Ferry, Robert Woods, and our recording secretary, Heather Nakora, new title, Heather, and Mrs. Beausoleil. So yeah, there's something's wrong with the Zoom. We just finished the discussion with Clearway, and we had to have their representative do it by phone. What else is new? Anyhow, we finally got you. I was wondering where you were. I thought you forgot us. So we have two agenda items open. One is for an update on Brook Street, which you can give us now that you're here. But before we get to that, we also have agenda item 4C, Weston and Sampson Engineering Projects, Brook Street Solar and Clearway Arujo. So I just told the committee that the money was received for the 53G account. The contract was issued to Weston and Sampson to do the review of the records, review the plan that was approved, getting up to the point of we're gonna schedule a site visit when it's time to do that. And that you are going to provide the equipment to do any digging that has to be done. Other than that, it's whatever you have now, feel free. Do you have anything to report, Ahmed?
Oh, no, thank you. No, sorry, there was a delay there. No, I don't have anything to report, and the only thing I was curious about is that if the Stormwater Committee has received any timeline from Weston and Kent, and specifically when it comes to the site visit, so arrange the equipment for that site visit.
Okay, I missed part of what you said, when you said if the Stormwater Committee has received,
Timeline.
Timeline from Weston and Kent,
no, not yet,
visit, yeah,
because,
we can arrange the equipment.
yeah, the email that you were copied on, as you know, just went out. I heard from Jim Reardon from Weston and Sampson, but it was about the Clearway project. I will drop a line to him and just say if, now that he's going to go ahead, can he give us any kind of a, even a tentative timeline? And we'll see where that goes. Whatever I get, I'll send out to the committee and forward to you also, okay?
Okay.
Does anybody on the committee have any questions for Mr. Hafez? Mrs. Beausoleil, do you have any questions? No, no one has any questions or comments, Ahmed.
I mean, I'm glad you emailed me because I saw the email and told them right away.
Hey, Ahmed, for future reference, if you have trouble getting into one of our meetings, always call Mr. Ferry's phone,
Well, okay.
because that's what we had to do with Clearway also.
He emailed all of us, but. I'm
So-
the only one.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ahmed.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Before calling, prepare.
Goodbye.
Okay, so, we'll go back to the regular order of business 4A, which is Maris Lane drainage problems update. In the minutes, it just said we were waiting for it to rain. Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Oh, the Saturday after Thanksgiving is lights on. So if I have enough calendars, I'll be in the pavilion. But if I don't have enough calendars, I will have the order completed. And they will be available in both town halls, police station, fire station, elderly prime time, and if there are enough, the post offices, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we had two smaller rain events. Nothing really give it a good test, but I don't know if Lisa driven by it now recently.
So you did repair something out there?
No, the repairs were done
The repairs were done by
for the last meeting, yeah.
that. Yeah, I saw that. So what was,
The only thing was left to see how it worked with the rain event. So since last month, we really hadn't had no major rains
I was
like we
only,
had all summer.
I was out there for one of the abutters, but I never checked that.
So there's nothing really to report. It wasn't really tested.
So, you know, if we get a really good rainstorm, you'll take a look at it just to see.
So it's a little more than 3 feet of stone to almost the surface with a filtration fabric on it. So you shouldn't see any water meandering on the top at all.
Okay. Okay, so, this will be on the next agenda unless you have a chance to, it rains and you have a chance to report something. So we'll leave it off the agenda unless you let Heather know that there was enough rain and you were able to do an inspection and you can give us an update, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Usually if it's a problem, Mrs. Daly calls me and sends me pictures.
Okay,
Been going on for years.
You had none, the last month you had none.
Right, and she usually's right on it.
I saw her at the, I can't remember now if it was the chicken barbecue or the Arts Festival, or maybe both of them, but she said it hasn't rained enough. I said, we'll have an update. I said, if there's anything to report. So I told her we had the meeting, but as you said, nothing happened. Agenda item 4B, 485 Tremont Street, the land disturbance and the endangered species, the update.
So the last I heard from Natural Heritage Mass Wildlife was the beginning of November 6th or so. They're reviewing what Mr. Alice has sent them, and they have 30 days to do the review. I just emailed them and asked them if there was an update, because they had told him that they'd probably have something back to him by they don't have anything back to him yet, but as far as conservation goes, because they worked in the 100-foot buffer zone with some clearing and pulling and grading of the land, they did get the wetlands delineated, and I got a sketch, and the owner may be required to do some mitigation in the form of some planting. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
The MESA Mass Endangered Species Act review is still underway.
So, assuming that whatever the Concom may ask him to do, that he can do, obviously, the big issue is whether or not there are endangered species in there.
Right, so they're reviewing that.
If they say that there is, what are they gonna do? Tell them to just stop?
It depends on what the species are, and sometimes you have to, yeah, I mean, you may have to replant more, and he didn't
And kind of let it go back to nature?
may have to do that.
Oh, okay. In any of the solar farms we've had, has endangered species come up anywhere? I don't remember that. The only thing I remember was Strawberry Fields. There was discussion about species doing that.
Yeah, well, for Clearway, the vernal pool.
Yeah.
At the access is considered a vernal pool, but it was never certified. I can have them do that as something as part of the closeout with conservation.
Okay.
But not that I know of. There should have been rare species discussion on Elm Street for the Kingsley property, because over 20 years ago, I certified some vernal pools up there. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was.
I've never heard of anything upon, quite frankly, on Richmond Hill relative to endangered species. And the only first mention I ever heard, again, was Strawberry Fields, and it may have gone back to the development before Strawberry Fields. So.
There's polygons of all over the town of rare species, and there's potential vernal pools and certified vernal pools. There's layers on the Mass Mapper website. It's actually really easy to use if you ever want to pull it up. Mass Mapper, you type in the address, and you go to the right, and you can pull up the layers. You can even look at the aerial photo versus the USGS as the base map, and then the parcel data overlay.
So Mr. Alves could have done that ahead of time if he even thought about it. I mean, he knew enough to put the I'll call it the berm of, but to control runoff, but again, living in that area, I was not aware that anything was there.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have questions on 485 Tremont? If not, we'll move on.
Nope.
So we'll talk about this one next month if Lisa has an update from National Heritage. 4D, items for upcoming events, Stormwater Education Program. So I was at the Arts Festival. I gave away everything except one case of shopping bags. I've probably got 150 grippers left. The brochures will be printed at BP, but I'm still holding that right now because I want those calendars. So what I need to know is, what's the committee's feeling on, we've got to get some more educational stuff. Our next event will be either cow chip or firecracker, depending upon which we decide to do. And obviously we will be doing the Fall Arts Festival. So we don't have to rush. And so my question to the committee is, do you want me to get in touch with BP and show them what we've done in the past that we've bought from suppliers? See if they can come up with something for us. Like, we're gonna need more bags. Bags are very, very popular and they do wear out.
So I'm only one person.
You're allowed to speak, Mr. Ferry.
So I've seen in the past when we had this discussion, we kind of looked at it lightly, but in lieu of the fact that our basin cleanings were high chloroform, fecal chloroform, we can only presume it's pet waste. Maybe we should reconsider that trinket that you put the waste bag, the dog waste bag in. You can go in a keychain and you can have a little slogan on that.
Oh, that's a thought. So what do you call it? Pet waste?
Donkey bag holder. I like that because actually Sequent did something similar. Did I show you?
But it maybe instead of a slogan, instructions, because you don't leave the bag in a basin, you don't leave the bag in barrels, you're supposed to take the bag with you.
So,
What?
Well, you can once it's 200 feet from a water source.
They really should.
well, that's what it says in our brochure. So I'll describe this thing as a key chain pet waste bag clip.
It's just one person, so other people might have. other
No.
ideas.
I gotta have ideas, and I'm gonna get ideas from BP, because I saw stuff up there. I mean, I saw some, what I consider to be very expensive stuff that we wouldn't even touch. I saw them embroidering bathrobes.
Right.
They were not cheesy bathrobes. Somebody contracted with them for some kind of an event. And I guess they supplied the robes. They have a machine that will, you know, put your insignia on that or your motto or whatever it was. So they.
Back to the pet waste thing, do you think we would hit a good audience? Or would it be a small audience? So that you always want to hit the most. Or have
I think
the biggest effect. I mean, I do have a need to try to correct it. The brochure hits on it, but it's not loud because there's a lot of things in that brochure. It's either that or some other type of educational component that's more focused on that.
Just like the chip clip,
Right.
right? Every time you picked it up, it reminded you. You
Mhm.
talked about keeping water fresh and, you know, whatever. Keep your chips fresh and your water, whatever. So any ideas that anybody have, if you've seen something somewhere, Seekonk or anywhere, or you've been somewhere and said, hey, you know what they gave me? For example, I don't know where I was, but I was somewhere and picking up stuff. And when I got home and looked at my bag of goodies, I had nail files that had, was it Mass General, Brigham and Women's? Or I got that, unless it was up there. Hannaford's was giving out little tiny bags. The last week was their celebration of redoing the store. So they had small bags, like a book bag, not the expansion shopping bags. In it, they were putting lunch kits. Anyone needs a lunch kit? I got one. They were giving out, free items like granola in the grocery department and something in some other department, but they were also giving out $5 gift cards. But at BP, like I've seen so many things up there that I'm gonna say, what do you suggest? Those kids come up with so many things, but this particular thing that Tommy is describing, I'm gonna describe it as a keychain pet waste bag clip or holder.
Holder with a clip.
Clip holder.
It's only usually about this big.
I think it would be good
Bags.
because I know there's a number of dogs in my neighborhood. And I think from what I've seen, the people are pretty good about when they go out for a walk. And I remember one of my neighbors came up to me. He takes his dog everywhere. And he stopped me one morning. And he says, Nancy, when are they gonna put the bags back at the west entrance to the trail? I said, what bags? He says, the pet waste bags. I said, oh, I'll find out. I'll get in touch with Kevin Smith. And I did. And he says, yeah, we got them in. We'll put them out. So this man, evidently, when he knows there's bags at his place, he uses the bags. If not, he carries the bags. So, but I think that's a good point. We can, because we're really specifying in this case, the effect of cleaning up after pets and the effect on water. Whereas our other things really talk about water, you know, stormwater and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So anyhow, all I need is the go ahead from the committee that says, somebody make a motion to authorize me to talk to Bristol Plymouth and get ideas for future giveaways for our educational program.
So move.
Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor.
Aye.
So I will contact BP and this will be on we'll just have an item for stormwater education program giveaways. Okay, that way I can see what I can come up with. From what I've seen, what BP is doing, the costs for the calendars are comparable to what we were paying. Plus, every time we ordered, which made no sense at all, they hit us with a setup fee. Well, if you print the calendars every year, and the only thing you're printing, quite frankly, is this. And you got to pay a setup fee? What did you do with the setup the last time you set it up? I mean, BP obviously printed the anniversary book. That was the big print job. And that was the front cover. And the setup for that was going to be a problem, except the sister of the lady who designed and made the two flags had, before she passed, gave everything to this particular sister. So when I said, I think we got a problem because BP says trying to set that up is going to be difficult. She says, no problem at all. I got the setup. She gave me a box of stuff. I took it to BP. They were elated because it was everything that would have been needed if you had to hire somebody to do this. And it was going to be difficult for the kids to do something like that. But so my point is, once that setup was created, and fortunately it was around. So now BP, when I go there, they did the setup and I just said to them, I'm going to send the seal in color because we've got it, we use it. And I said, you could come up with blue or green or something. So they used navy blue for this and green for that. But so in looking at the stuff that we got, and I know Roz tried to talk him out of the setup fee, but got to make money somehow. So anyhow, so the vote for me to contact is unanimous. All right. Okay. So the calendar, 4E calendar brochures. I got the brochure at home in its final edition. I saw the note you put on the bottom of the black and white copy I gave to you. When she was trying to bring that up, we had to squeeze some stuff in. And when she printed it in color, it came out. But when it got copied in black and white, it dropped off. But I'm going to be sure to bring that to her attention. The other thing I noticed, the Conservation Commission cites the Wetlands Protection Act. I'm going to find space to cite the Clean Water Act because that's what we act under. That's the federal requirement. And the loophole for developers, and we've got two of them in front of us with Arborcrest and Forest Hills. Arborcrest is, we're 40 big. No one is exempt. And I underscore that, no one. and I have some information from Newton Tedder, I'm gonna send it to the Board of Selectmen and to the committee chairmen and let them know, hey, guys, this is the law. You choose to ignore it. Just telling you, this is not gonna fall on the Stormwater Committee if we get fined. You cannot selectively say, you're a 40B, you're okay, you're Forest Hills, we're gonna nail you. No, you can't do that, but I am gonna find a place to cite the Wetlands Protection Act, the Clean Water Act, just like conservation did with the Wetlands Protection Act. All right, so, anyhow,
It's 50 years old.
if somebody wants to argue with the EPA, good luck. I'll have, for the next meeting, there will be, that item I just gave you about looking for educational items, and also put and stormwater brochure update. We'll make it one line, do all that BP stuff at one time. Agenda item 4F, stormwater agent position status. I hope Mike would zoom in on this. I have major concerns that we are not doing what we should be doing. And I do not believe, now that we've got a couple of projects before with Sampson, one of the things that I wanted was an instant response if we needed it. You don't get an instant response from Weston and Sampson. You have to provide a description. Now, they told me they could turn it around in 24 hours. Not happening. When you deal with a company like Weston and Sampson and any big engineering firm, it's not instantaneous. You got to give them a description of what you want. They have to sit down and figure it out and cost it out. This is not instantaneous. And quite frankly, when we lost Todd, we lost all semblance of instantaneous. And I'm sure the developers realized if Todd was still here, they wouldn't be putting money into 53Gs. We never had a 53G because Todd did all the work. Now, on the town side, you could say, well, that's saving the town money. But as far as I'm concerned, it's slowing things up for this committee. There are no.
And they're very expensive.
Exactly.
Right.
And we all know he is a PE. All right. We all know he acted as a PE, if you will, unofficially, meaning you can't forget your education when you go out and look at something. So even though he was not responding as the town's PE, he was responding as the stormwater agent. It's just like you going out. You can't look the other way on something that's conservation related because you're out there with me and I'm talking to you about something else. You can't do this. So I did speak to Mike and say, we got to do something, even if it's part-time. We need, if we can get it, we need instant. And I do mean instant.
But we wouldn't have to, because they eliminated, didn't they put a freeze on hiring, but this is already created.
I don't even want to hear that. It is not a new position. There is no question in my mind it's needed. I'm the one that would get the calls. I haven't gotten any calls since he left. Like, we got to go up there. The calls that a call responded to were either generated by me or I'd be talking to Tom and say, hey, we better go up there. Or we got a big rainstorm and, I'm on Tremont Street. I head to Brook. He's coming to the street. We go to Clearway. But there has to be more. And Mike says, we'll put together a description. Well, I intend to keep following up on this. And since I'm talking about getting assistance, Weston and Sampson, the okay was given, the dollars were discussed, the money is supposed to come through Bristol County for that Joris to work with me to update our post-construction section of the bylaws, the part we're in violation of our own permit because we relied on Mass DEP. Mike says, yeah, remind me to get that money. I keep sending him reminders. I'm at the point of saying, who has to be contacted at the county and let them know I'll be in touch with them. just let's get the money in here. I keep have to say to her, this started before I started working on the MS4 that got filed in September. So Mike says, we're gonna do it. We get them on board. We get the contact at Weston and Sampson. Well, he says, you gotta get the money through the county because it's, I don't know, it's part of that. I don't know if it's COVID or whatever that money is that the county controls. But anyhow, that's aside from this, but we still need somebody that we can call and say, we need you to go to this place and look at this, or the next time we get a bad rainstorm, you got to go to this place and respond. You know, the kind of things we didn't have to do with Todd, because he would just do it, you know. But not having him,
It's a boy, yeah.
there's no question. And I'm not saying we need somebody, I don't know. I'm saying we need somebody that, even if it's on call, but they got to respond. It can't be, well, I got to see what my calendar will allow. That's worthless. That's worthless. And I don't believe we're talking a lot of money either. But so anyhow, I'll get in touch with Mike and we'll see if we can get the money from the county to at least get Jarice Schwartz at Weston and Sampson working. She must be saying to herself, what is taking so long? Because I keep saying, I'm not putting you off. But then
Do we need to write a job description here for Mr. Mullen or?
I'm going to talk to him about that. What does he want? Now, just before Todd left, before he submitted his resignation, I had said to Mike, I think what we need to do is to write down what he does. Don't develop a description now. Write down what he does, and from that, develop the job. Not develop the job and find out it doesn't match, because that has gone on for quite a while. That is worthless. And besides that, the bickering that went on about the whole thing is another issue. But anyhow, I just wanted to give you that update as a status. This will be on, this item will be on next month's agenda. Yeah. Okay, hey, if anybody else thinks of anything else as far as educational materials, because you happen to open the junk drawer in the kitchen and you see something, say, hey, that looks good, send me an email.
Yeah, get some squirt guns.
No, and no water balloons either.
Water,
The
stormwater.
kids loved it,
They'd be like, where'd you get that? From the stormwater people.
from Tommy's storm drain. Ugh.
I'm gonna get some.
Don't drink it. Okay, agenda item 5C, Blue Wave Solar, Tremont and Middle Streets. All those reports we've been getting. It seems to me there's different names. We call them Blue Wave, but those reports have other, I'm looking at this saying, well, which one is this? The person that's sending those reports to you about Tremont and Middle. That's truly Blue Wave, even though they're using other names.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
All right. So,
You go on the site, they'll tell you right away that they're not responsible for it. There's other companies that handle it for them. They're not there physically all the time.
they're not responsible for what?
That's not their job. They refer us to these people that are emailing us because we want a better,
Oh, the Blue Wave?
yeah.
The Blue Wave name, it's got all these other, well, that's fine too, except that at times, well, now that we're not getting the Clear Wave ones, it would be like, wait a minute. Is this Joe Berthaman? Because if this is Joe Berthaman, it's a Joe Clearway, you know, but I see these other names and it's like, mother of God.
This is Alexander.
So as far as, from what I can see, the reports that they've been submitting are okay with you. And when you ask them for something else, they respond. Is there anything you want to report on Blue Wave?
No, I think maybe we're due, I'm overdue for another site visit out there. I'd like, they were gonna plant a rye this week, or was it last week? I'm getting the sites.
I see a delivery of evergreens. They're getting ready to,
Yeah, they got a lot of shrubbery dropped off there too the other day, so it looks like they're gonna do some planting.
So will they do the planting of trees first and then the grass last, or?
Don't know. I think-
It just got delivered maybe 2 days ago.
So when do they think they're gonna be? Does anybody know what's their target date for completion? Nobody knows?
Talk to Carrie too, because you know that whoever bought that piece of property on Middle Street cleared all that land. So now you're gonna clearly see,
That was my
Solar
next
array.
question. So
yeah,
that land that was cleared by
Vangelo.
Mr. Evangelo, John Evangelo. He had contacted us ahead of time, and because it's not more than 35,000 square feet. That was my first stop after the big rainstorm. Because I wanted to make sure, number one, we weren't getting a runoff from the solar farm through the woods and a little stone wall. But he had just started that clearing, and he did put out silt socks. And that was the day that stopped at 11 o'clock. I was in my car and I went there first. Water that I saw running on the side of the road, most of it was clear. There were a couple of puddles that were cloudy. But again, the rain stopped, the sun came out, and what I saw was clear, except for the little puddles. Now that he's finished his work, when I drive by, I say, and how is that going to get blocked? Are they going to plant bushes in there?
Oh, I talked to Carrie and she said maybe I could stop in there and ask someone. But it's really not in the plan that's been approved. So
Right.
maybe I have to approach him like in a nice kind of way.
They left the tree line.
Yeah, the tree line is very thin,
Well, now that the property's been cleared,
right?
and his intent in clearing that was something more access for his kids for that, to that property or something. I mean, he came before us, what he did was okay with us, but obviously, so I couldn't tell by driving by if the berm continues, and that's what I was wondering.
The berm does not
Does
continue.
not continue.
No,
So there's a question about visibility.
yeah. But see, the plan has already been approved by the planning board.
So the question really still is, when it was approved, everything was cool, but it was dependent on the trees that were there on someone else's property that have now been removed.
right,
So,
and it's not their fault,
nope. But by the same token, now we're left with a partial site under the bylaw that doesn't comply. So
right?
the question is, what do you do about this?
Yeah, I can bring that up tonight at the planning board meeting and, you know, during public input and just talk to the board about it and see what they think. Maybe we can ask our attorney, you know, to give us a little insight. But, you know, we don't want to poke the bear. You know, they seem to be doing a good job. But I'm concerned with the visibility,
Exactly, and the guy that owned the land didn't do anything wrong.
right?
What we have to contend with is people drive by and say, I thought they said we weren't gonna see this thing.
Right,
Right.
we weren't expecting that, you know, and as we go along, like this is the fourth or fifth or sixth solar farm. We learn more and more as we go along,
Exactly.
but you know, we're getting to the point where we ain't gonna get too many more, so.
The other thing too is when you think about it, when we were talking about solar farms, we had said that Brook Street is the one that's closest to homes. And so visibility is a problem. Well, we didn't think about what happens if the abutter who owns the forest cuts down the forest.
Right,
All right,
Yep.
so now without the woods, that solar farm is, from a visual standpoint, close to homes.
Yeah.
More homes than Pine and Brook.
Yep.
So, yeah, good question.
So I am going back into Alexandra Morrison. She's the environmental compliance manager who does the erosion control inspections. And she gave us a status 6 days ago, the winter stabilization, that both the backfield and the front field have been seeded and mulched. And the only stabilization that's left is the basin, which should be completed at the end of next week. So it will be the end of this week. So maybe next week's a good week to do an inspection. I don't know.
Her name is Alexandra
Yes,
Morrison.
Yes.
What company name does she use?
This is a new email. I'm not used to it, so I don't even know how to view the emails.
Does she put her title after her name at the end?
Mill Creek Renewables. So A Morrison at millcreekrenewables.com.
Okay. Yeah, Milk Creek was the latest name, and I'm thinking, how many more names?
And Mr. Evangelo, he put down Winter Rye. That's coming up pretty good.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Good.
He didn't, he hasn't spoken out in opposition to the farm, the solar farm either. He's just wanted to clear his spot there.
Oh, yeah, he bought that land from someone else.
Does he own that ranch too? That's right there?
No.
No.
He doesn't own the ranch.
No.
Okay.
No, you're just gonna put a house there and he bought where the mobile home was. Maybe putting at least one house there.
The mobile home that was on
I
Tremont?
was gonna put animals is what he told me.
No,
You heard animals?
Yeah.
that's because you're conservation.
Is that what they all tell me? Okay, so every time I hear animals, it's a red flag. Okay.
And sorry,
Unless you're talking to Woody or Mr. Then they're talking about the kind with antlers
And they're hunting.
that are, yeah, so you gotta be careful.
Okay.
Okay, say, update on 508 Customs, 0 Horton Street, anything on those?
Yeah, we conducted a site visit at 508 Customs last week with the owner and the engineering firm out back. We are not in agreement right now.
Is we the Concom?
No, me and the Outback. Concom didn't make any decisions.
Okay.
Went out for the site visit. But I am in disagreement with Outback Engineering about where the wetlands are. There's a wetland adjacent to the property off-site on Mr. DeRose's property that they did not take into account. In a nutshell, because they've expanded the parking lot and resurfaced the parking lot, and they're within 100 feet, so within our jurisdictional area, they have to meet DEP stormwater requirements and at least go down the checklist. So we're going back and forth a little bit, and I just had a conversation with DEP and I think have a game plan. So that's an update on that one. That's
Okay.
still not in compliance. They're still trying to get their curb cut, which I'm told they can't get until they deal with conservation. But they do have an enforcement order and they haven't rebutted it.
Is this Horton Street or 508 Custom?
508 Customs.
All right,
Horton Street's making good progress. The restoration plan looks good. We're hoping that the restoration plan can get implemented in the spring. We don't want to try to do it right now. It's too late. There's already some semi-stabilization coming up there. So if we had them tear it out now, it wouldn't be a good time. But the owner was also researching whether they could have animals on the property unattended. And build a structure under the power lines, but National Grid just told him no. So it seems like this spring, there's gonna be a full restoration of the site. I don't know if it would be wise to make a suggestion that maybe he donate it to conservation after he does that.
so was their intent to have animals there? But they weren't gonna live there.
Right,
So what kind of animals, I mean, this is New England, what kind of animals do you leave out? This isn't free range land like out
It's
west.
gonna be goats.
What?
It's supposed to be goats.
Goats.
Don't you have to milk goats?
You
No,
have to.
not all goats are milk goats.
All right.
animals.
All I can tell you is my history with
Right.
tended animals, the last nightmare. No, not the last one, but one of them was the farm on Main Street. When there was combustion in the garage, in the barn, which brought the fire department, which brought the Board of Health, and the conditions that the animals were in, including the calf laying on the floor with a broken leg. Unattended nightmare.
Right.
Reminds me of some of those things you hear about in Tiverton out in the woods, but anyhow, okay. So, are there any unanticipated items anybody has?
Nope.
Any public input from all the public?
I do want to mention one thing that I noticed a lot of dirt or whatever coming out of Tyvecchio on the last real big rainstorm we had. And it was running down the hill towards Segregated Golf Course. There was a
Oh, okay.
lot of dirt coming off of that property.
Tom, can you get in touch with Master? You
I
know,
was gonna text you right away and let you know, but I was like, you know what?
it's interesting.
I had the blinders on.
When I go that way, I always look at that site. Obviously, I wasn't out there when that happened, but when they had the public hearing on the reconstruction and the paving and all that good stuff on Route 44, there was a lady present from DOT. And I made the remark, well, if they're gonna fix that road, I hope they do something about all that stuff that keeps washing down the road from that whatever it is place on the north side, because every time she got out her paper and she's scribbling and writing. And when they paved it, they did go in a bit and try to make a bit, but with torrential rain, but you're right.
There was an awful lot
That
coming
has
out.
been a problem before.
Yeah,
Speaking of problems, don't go down 118 and 44. What a nightmare.
oh yeah, with the rotary,
Roundabout.
the roundabout, yeah.
All right, so that's, I'll put that under public input, okay? Route 44 erosion. At, what is it, company, Ty something, Tribeco?
I don't know, I wouldn't know how to spell it. It's Italian though. You're from Italy.
Yeah, but they gotta obey US laws, Dayton laws, Massachusetts laws. Correspondence, I don't think we have anything. Did you get anything, Heather?
No.
Okay, a motion to approve the minutes of October 18th, 2023. Is there one?
I'll make a motion.
There a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Hi,
Aye.
Hi.
Report on expenses. So what this is about, I told you at the last meeting that I had some expenses. You have that, would you read that just so that they know? I know that I told you I had bought some postage stamps. Oh, and I paid for some photographs. But before I submitted it, in the meantime, I had a postage bill of $44 and change to ship all those records to Reading. So the total amount that I submitted was,
On November 2nd, you submitted $59.06.
okay, so the instructions from the town accountant were that if an expenditure is made between meetings, we don't have to hold them. As long as they're approved by Tom or me, and in this case, Tom approved. But that I should report to the board and just let you know that there was an expense. So the minutes would just reflect that I gave a report that we expended the total amount for postage, developing some photographs and postage. The photographs were actually to go with the thumb drive that I had at home. We didn't have to buy a thumb drive, but when I gave it to Bristol Plymouth, I wanted them to see, these are the pictures. They're also on the thumb drive so that the kids could figure out which ones they were going to use. The kids made the selection of the photographs. I submitted 27. And they picked out the ones that came out the best as far as clarity and all that. So I'm reaching out to everybody. I'm hoping this is going to be very successful and that we continue the calendar program and meaning calendar pictures of Dayton And I'm asking everybody to email photographs to me of scenes in Dayton. No buildings and no people. Because I don't want to have to get permission. And anyone who sends me anything, that I'll put it in a file for the next time. And sending it to me means we have permission to use it, so. That's that. Is there anything else before we adjourn? Oh, by the way, last year we didn't meet in December. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't meet. The meeting would be December the 20th. Looking at all of this stuff that we covered today, and some of it will be carried forward. I'm wondering if we need a December meeting.
Oh, I motioned that we do not have one.
Is there a second?
Well, no, she bakes very well and I.
Oh, wait a minute.
don't know what's going on here. We used to have baked goods and stuff.
Yeah, you get a lot of that from Todd.
Oh, you want to have a party? Stormwater Christmas party?
Dirty water party. We didn't meet last year. And so what my thought is, if somebody seconds the motion,
What's the motion?
not to have a December meeting,
I'm not doing it.
Mr. Ferry.
Oh, you mean for the discussion? I'll second it.
All right, so,
All in favor?
no, we're gonna have discussion.
good.
So what I'm saying is, it's fine with me if we don't meet, because I'm looking at what's on the agenda. Unless something remarkable comes out of the blue, I think we can do it cover everything in January. However, during the months between now and the January meeting, so it would be no meeting in December on December the 20th. And it would be January the 17th would be our next meeting. So in the meantime, unless something urgent comes up where I have to call a special meeting, I'll just keep everybody advised, little updates on these kind of things. So that when we have the meeting in January, everybody will at least know, what did you hear from Weston and Sampson? Did you get stuff on VP and, that kind of stuff. I'm not looking to eliminate stuff.
Right, that's good. And what would be important that we probably should act on in January or get moving on is the education component. So if someone's got something they're working on, try to have it ready by then.
Yeah, and as I say, if you see anything anywhere, or you go somewhere and they're giving out stuff, or you open the junk drawer and see something that you got 10 years ago, send me an email and say, hey, I got one of these doohickeys that might be something. Okay, so all in favor of not meeting in December?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Extra time to do minutes, Heather.
I'm thinking, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So, and just before we adjourn, whatever I get, I will send out. We can't get into discussions. I can keep you informed. So that way we won't violate any laws, okay? Motion to adjourn, anybody?
I'll make that motion.
There a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 What time does that computer say? 2:25?
25.
Ooh, 25.
You got my soup to be ready. Wait, lunch.
Okay, so up in the top corner, Tom, at the assessors meeting. You gotta stop recording first.